All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to recap the Mets versus Braves series, as well as all the latest rumors in New York Mets land, including the news. I don't know why I didn't say news there. I don't know. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are recorded live after every single series of games during the regular season. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you in the live chat right now, we want to remind you guys that we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all that great stuff regarding the team. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored, just going to be starred throughout the show. We will try to pull up as many as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for Frank's instant post-game reactions after every single regular season game, which are titled the Mets Frankly Postgame. And for our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all of your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 163 of our show as we now leave off from a series in the House of Horrors known as Atlanta, where the Mets get the series win. However, Frank, I think you can agree with me on this one. I still just see the same motions of a team that's better than the team that wins by default, but still, they should have swept this series. Still plenty of stuff on display. The same team we've been looking at, I don't know, for the past 2-3 months. It's just not good enough. It isn't. I'm sorry. It's still not good enough to me. And I'm just, there's nothing, there's no offensive performance back to back or a few times that can get me encouraged because of what has been going on all season.
It's very hard to feel good at any point because in the first two games, bunch of offense, good pitching for the most part. You're like, okay, you know what? Maybe our offense is finally getting going. Maybe they are fine turning around 12 runs, 9 runs, so many hits, home runs, all rookies, starting pitcher. Oh, we're doing great. We got this. So when we get to the third game against a guy who has ERA over 6, with an offense that has finally woken up, we should be good. And you know what? We just faced this guy a week ago. He shut us down. So what we're going to do is, as a team, we're going to make adjustments because that's a big thing you do. Like if you struggled as a team and you face that team again, face that same pitcher again, you make some tweaks and be like, okay, this is where they had success. We're going to try this instead, make an adjustment, and we should perform better. No, you still get shut down by the same guy. Offense is back to sleep. Bullpen back to being crappy. So it's just like, you can never feel good because they can show you 2 great days and then show you like 3 horrible days. So you can never feel like, oh, now we're back on track. Now we're rolling, firing on all cylinders. You never feel that way because it's like as soon as you want to have some hope, they just play so poorly. Again, like you said, against a team you definitely should beat. They got a ton of injuries, not using the greatest pitcher. Like you should beat this team with the talent you have. And now you are healthy. That's the thing too. Go figure. They were shorthanded the first few games, scored a bunch of runs. Now you get your guys back on Sunday and you look like crap. So, I mean, it's very frustrating. It's confusing, but we've seen it, like you said, for months now, basically the whole season, that you can't be surprised. So it's like, can you do it for a week? Can we do a little more? Can we get like a month? Because that's how much is left in the season. Is that a possibility? Because if not, it is just very hard to fully buy in and feel confident like this team could go where they're capable of going because you see them play a very good brand of baseball and to be like, oh, this is what this team could do. That's right. We have all this payroll, all these stars. And then you see what happens the last game and you're like, oh, these guys still have a lot of things they need to work on. So it's just very frustrating because like we said, we know they're capable of being better. They just don't show it consistently enough.
Yeah, I'm at a point where I can't write in anything. I can't sit here and analyze anything and think that anything means anything because of a lot of the context around what has been going on with this team, specifically in this Atlanta series. They started off this series facing two of the worst arms in all of baseball, and they beat the crap out of them. Hooray! They did their job. Then they faced Bryce Elder, who also is not good, and then they go to sleep. So again, I'm not going to sit here and plant my flag in big offensive performances when I know what is at the end of the tunnel. I know that makes me sound like a negative fan, but I feel like I have over, I don't know, 130 games already that I can say, well, this is what has been happening the entire time. The entire time. So why would it change? I have a constant trend of this offense disappearing, then exploding, then disappearing, and then exploding. So why would I see in any sort of fashion that this team is just going to magically get it together? Because for some reason, they continue to not find that way into consistency. It's been like this all year. And flat out, like I said, with the fact that I said last episode, I even said, this is a team that deserves to miss the playoffs. They still look like a team that deserves to miss the playoffs with how inconsistent with them. But overall, let me just say, I don't trust this team. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust the big bats in the big situations. I don't trust the big time relievers in these big situations. The only big time reliever I trust is obviously my guy from day one, but can we even get the ball to him anymore? I don't think we can. I don't think that's even possible. What we think that this team was capable of doing, I'm not so sure anymore. I really am not so sure. And to be honest, it's going to be really, really rough to try and figure it out with the upcoming schedule that you have coming up here. You have the team that's ahead of you in the division. You have Detroit coming up. You have the Marlins, who always give you fits at the end of the season. We all know that. So again, they have not much time to figure this out. And I really have a lot of doubts that they will find a way to do so. And I hate saying that with a team that had such expectations going into this year, but that's all they have provided me. We talk about it, we call it like we see it, and this is basically what we've been seeing all year. A consistently inconsistent team that just can't put it all together. And it's also a team that was held up by its pitching staff for the first month, and ever since then, they have been a below 500 team. We're not talking about a month. We're not talking about weeks. We are talking about a majority of the season since May 1st. May 1st to the end of August, which is where we are at. That ain't good. That's not good. And for anybody that thinks that that's okay because they're still in a playoff spot, with the expectation that you have drawn up with a $380 million payroll, you got to aim a little bit higher. And I don't know if the Mets can aim any higher, whether it is with the inconsistency or just the message that's being sent. Because it just doesn't seem like the bad things are being addressed. It doesn't seem like anything is being changed. It doesn't seem like any adjustments are made. And once again, like they talked about last year with that whole team meeting they had, where they said one of the biggest objectives of that was to hold each other accountable. I'm not seeing that at all this year. And that's how I see a team that has very high highs and very low lows. Is there anything you want to add?
I mean, that's how it's been. It's been peaks and valleys. It's been, like I said, highs and lows. You'll see a 7-game winning streak, but you'll see like a 4-game losing streak. You know, it's just, that's kind of why it's been and why they're still like barely above 500. Because, and we've talked about this on previous years episodes, but it's just like it really is hard to build anything when you don't show consistent good play. When you're like some days good, some days bad, you're gonna end up in a wild card position, barely hanging on to a wild card position because you never get hot. So they're running out of time. I mean, there is a month left. Like you said, this isn't ideal opponents wise, the matchups, who you would do it against, the team that's ahead of you in the division. and once you have the best record in baseball, and the Marlins, who regardless of record, are always going to be a tough challenge for them. So it's not really the time, but they, there's no other choice. Like, this is where you have to do it if you are going to get to the postseason. But as we know, it's not enough to get there. You also have to do well when you're there. That's a whole other issue. But with the way they've been playing, it's like just getting there first is, the first thing they need to accomplish, so to speak. I mean, it really shouldn't be a big accomplishment considering the expectations, but with how it's gone, it would feel almost like a surprise, because like we talked about last episode, but when you're one of the worst teams in baseball for multiple months consecutively, all of a sudden it's like we said, do they even deserve to make it? So it's like, if you still do make it, I mean, then we'll see what you do when you get there, but you still have to get there first, no doubt about it, because it's not a guarantee.
No, it isn't a guarantee. And I think that right now, the best way to think of it is the Mets do still have a high percentage chance of getting into the postseason, mainly just because it's them and the Reds right now, figuratively fighting for that last spot. You have maybe an outsider with the Cardinals, maybe, but they are still like 5 games behind you right now. So it's basically Mets and Reds for that final spot, which again could basically look at a 50-50 with how tight they are as of right now. So again, when it comes to, them even getting to the postseason, I mean, Jay-Z says it's already over. I've never been this negative, but they are 100% done. This is a failed season. And listen, obviously, mathematically, they are still in this. But once again, right here, what Jay-Z is saying, it may make people feel uncomfortable here to just say it outright, but I don't blame him for saying this. I don't. I really don't. At all. I don't blame anybody for thinking that this team has just fallen over and died, even if they are in a playoff spot, because this is what they've been giving you for multiple months on end now. A team that is not playing good baseball, and whether or not they are still getting these wins or not, they're going at the hands of the talent that they obviously have, but the talent that they have has not been consistent. It hasn't been. And that's the main thing of the nucleus of this team that bugs me so much, is that I don't trust my top pitchers to give me top pitching performances. I don't trust my top hitters to come through when it matters. I don't trust the top relievers on this team to find a way out of jams, to find a way to execute and keep them in the game. I don't trust any one of these departments, the bright spots of these departments, to figure something out, because that's what they have given us all year long. A team that cannot be trusted. I mean, we'll ask you guys straight up in the chat. We'll ask you directly, do you trust this team? I don't trust them at all. They've given me no reason to. Last year, we know that team started off in such a awful position, playing terrible baseball. The energy was just sucked out of them. It was just awful. Some horrific losses. But we saw a change. We saw a change after that May disaster, after Jorge Lopez threw his glove into the crowd, or when Jose Iglesias got here, JD Martinez started stepping up. If you want to say it has, we're missing Grimace, fine. Grimace had something to do with it. However, there was a change in that clubhouse. There was a change within that team. They played different types of baseball, a different type of baseball that they were playing for the first 2 months. They had been playing the same baseball all year. The same team that can't execute with runners in scoring position. The same team that's biggest source of offense is solo home runs. The same team that has been walking the entire ballpark. The exact same team that has been relying on their pitching staff to be perfect when we know damn well it's not supposed to. The same team that has been relying on its bullpen to cover so much. The same team that has been making these defensive miscues all year, whether it is the young guys or even the veterans. Tell me how that has not changed compared to what you just saw in that last game they just played. We saw them not execute with runners in scoring position. We saw them rely too heavily on David Peterson to be a miracle worker. We saw the bullpen collapse with giving up free base runners. And we saw defensive miscues as well. So what's the difference? What exactly is the difference from the exact same issues we saw from day one? There's no change. There is no change. And could there be a lack of a voice in that clubhouse? Could that be something that we have to question? I don't know. However, a team like this, a team designed like this, should not be holding by a thread to the last wild card spot in the postseason. And 8 games over 500 right now? It shouldn't be like that. Shouldn't be. Really shouldn't. And that's the problem. I feel like the message that is being sent is that this inconsistency, this mediocrity, that's okay. I don't know what changed from last year. I mean, we all know what the personnel was. But for them to just completely disintegrate like this in so many disheartening losses, if they were to make the playoffs, would they find a way to do that again on the big stage? Probably. If you were to flip a coin, I'd say it lands on heads. I'd say it lands on one side where they collapse, where they don't get the job done. This team doesn't execute. And they can't even execute against 3 of the worst pitchers in all of baseball. And that's why I, again, did not blink a single eye, did not throw any parade when I saw 12 runs on the board in game 1 or 9 runs on the board in game 2. Because they were facing Joey Wentz. They were facing Cal Quantrill, who are not good. So I'm like, okay, yeah, beat up on the guys that you should be beating up on. It's like, the New York Post, right? You call a guy a hero, right? A hero is any man who does his job. Like, yeah, okay, you did your job. Great. And then you go right back to getting beat up by someone who's even worse than both of those pitchers in Cal Quantrill and Joey Wentz. We've said it multiple times. Bryce Elder has a over 6 earned run average this year. He's been one of the worst pitchers in all of baseball. How are you supposed to trust a team like that? You can't. You just can't. So unless we see something different, we're going at the same trajectory. We really are. And that's really scary. It is. For as much as that you have invested into this team. Now, before we get into everything, I obviously want to point out the notable news that we had before this whole series went down, before Game 2. I want to get into the news that just came out for a key player on this team. Or key note on this team, because he has not pitched like a key player on this team. Let's get into Frankie Montas, who has now been announced as done for the season. He has been placed on the 15-day injured list, just transferred to the 60-day injured list on a corresponding move today due to a high-grade UCL sprain in his right elbow. He had first experienced this soreness near his lower right bicep after playing catch on Friday, and Tommy John surgery is viewed as a possibility. He also missed the first 3 months, as we all know, due to a right lat strain injury that he had back in spring training. Now, obviously, Frankie Montas was not pitching well whatsoever, and he was giving all of us headaches every single 5 days when he did end up coming back. And for those of you who maybe seeing this as a silver lining, technically he is still likely going to be with the team next year, as he holds a $17 million player option for the 2026 season. So even though it's likely we don't see Frankie Montas pitch as a New York Met ever again, I think it is very, very easy to look back on this, as well as if I wanted to say me being patient the way that I was. You know that I was very patient, Frank. I think you know I was patient with this. I was like, let's just see what goes on. It's whatever. I'll be patient. However, the return on investment that we have gotten from this, I think it's inexcusably, indisputably, the worst signing that David Stearns has made as a Mets executive. I don't think it's too early to say that. I don't think it's too late to say that, or at any of the timing of that. This was an unmitigated disaster. One of the worst signings I have seen David Stearns make. However, it is a 2-year deal. It's not long term, but considering the choices in the rotation and the formation of the rotation and all the other moves that he has made that have been half and half and not as detrimental, holy shit, what a disaster. I think we all can agree. Frank?
I mean, yes, I totally agree on what a disaster, but I can't say that's the only move he's made that I could say what a disaster. Most of the bullpen moves made the deadline, you could say what a disaster. And then, Doug puts in the comments right here, Winker, Siri, disaster on both accounts.
Sure.
Bringing back Stanek, disaster. I mean, there's been a lot of disasters this year. I mean, and that's why another reason why they've underperformed. So we talked about Montas from the get-go of, it was a risk. This is not a guy that was coming off of a good season. He's bounced around a lot of different organizations. He's had injuries. This wasn't someone who's coming off this phenomenal season, like, oh, this is going to be a great upgrade to our rotation, or, oh, we know for sure that he's going to replace the production that Luis Severino gave us, or even what Jose Quintana gave us. We didn't know that for a guarantee that he was going to come in and do that. So right away, you were kind of like, okay, well, maybe they could tinker with him and maybe get back to his Oakland success from many years ago at this point, even though multiple organizations had a crack at it and no one's been able to figure it out. So right away, you were like, is this the best move for the rotation? We'll see. And it has not been that way. And we knew something was up in spring training when he got off the plane and was already injured. And we were like, oh, maybe you should do something about that. No. And then he pitches horribly when he finally does come back in the middle of the season. Trade deadline rolls around. Maybe we should do something about this. Nope. Okay, what we're going to do? Oh, he stinks. Let's move him to the bullpen. Don't use him because he got hurt playing catch or because he's so bad he couldn't even do the bullpen role, right? It's like the guy has been so bad you can't even get a 1 inning out of him. Like a starting pitcher you want at minimum 5 innings. We can't even get 1 inning out of this guy in the bullpen. So they're like, oh, well, now he's hurt, so he's done for the year. And if it's Tommy John, if he does it this late in the year, I mean, you're done. Almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're basically like the whole contract, forget it. So it would be kind of interesting, though. I mean, if you look at this offseason that he had between Montas, Siri, and Winker, just those 3 guys alone, you're looking at basically all 3 of them missed the entire season. Like, that's pretty crazy when you do think of that. And Manaea missed about half and still is not quite where he needs to be. So there are some question marks for sure. It's not been a good signing. The rest of the signings to go along with it have not made it look any better. It's just kind of been mixed in with like a bunch of other things that are very frustrating of how this team has been constructed and how they've gone about roster construction as the season has progressed, as these injuries and underperformances have occurred throughout the season. All of that has just been a bunch of frustration. So, like you said, it was a disaster, no doubt about it. And, we'll see. Like, it's like, okay, well, Montas didn't pitch good. We didn't do anything about it. But if he has Tommy John surgery, and we know that flat out we do not have him next season, well, what are we going to do? Are we just going to buy in that Nolan McLean has been awesome his first 2 starts and he's going to be in our rotation no matter what next year?
Yeah.
Are we so convinced that Jonah Tong been dominating AAA, he's going to be in our rotation next year? Is Sproul going to be in our rotation next year and we're just not going to get anybody? Like, it does have some more questions that you do have to kind of answer once next season rolls around. It's like, okay, well, Well, Montas was bad, we know that. But if he's just not on the team at all, well, then what are you going to do? You can't do. How about Paul Blackburn? How about pick up that club option? Disaster. He was hurt all year. Surprise, surprise.
That's like $5 million bucks, though.
And then got DFA'd, nothing. But still, like, do you think there's another pitcher you could have found for $5 million that would have been better? I mean, come on.
Canning.
Now. He's out for the season. That was another offseason move. I mean, he sure knows how to pick them. I know guys get hurt, but we're talking about
that's the thing.
That's guy he picked out
this
for
is the
season.
thing. Like,
I mean, come on.
When there's injuries, there are injuries. That's stuff that I don't think Stearns could have prevented. Like Stearns, I don't think there's ever a time where he would just be like, well
I'll tell you what, it's not been a great year for the training staff. It really has not, because we had multiple guys arrive to spring training with an injury. Like, so whether it's off-season program,
which is fine.
Like, there was a lot. There's just a few things that it's like, I mean, you have guys who come back. It's like they play not even a game, like Winker, and they're hurt. Like, what kind of stretching are we doing? Like, what are we doing in the interim that these guys are coming back and they're just done? It's absolutely crazy. Siri, the setback. It's like, well, what are we doing in that
the combination
process? Like,
I think it's a theory of layers. I feel like when you're looking at it as if you want to look at it as a bad signing, like, again, injuries or whatever, but it's like, injuries happen. They're going to happen throughout a 162 game season. However, when you see them on the field and pitching the way that they have, like Frankie Montas has, that's where it just adds on to the layer of, okay, you were hurt for the first 3 months of the season. That's a little frustrating, but it happens. You get hurt. He comes back. He finally makes his debut as a Met. He sucks. Then he gets injured again. And from what I've been hearing, it's not, again, and I'm not going to completely confirm this because I don't have any sources in the matter, but from what I've been obviously hearing from some conversations of people who have, worked with this whole situation, some people that I've been somewhat friendly with, from what I've been hearing is that there has been some pullback from Frankie Montas in the adjustments that they have wanted him to make to his stuff, his usage, his arm angle, things like that, and he's kind of refused to do it. And that's kind of been one of the main reasons as to why he ended up hurting himself. I even went on record on this show multiple times saying that I truly believe that he came into spring training so out of shape that it became a complete letdown from the start and he ended up getting hurt. I hope that there is a little bit of things to learn from this, obviously. I think, again, injuries are injuries, and I think that we've also had a lot of freak injuries. But from what we are seeing on the mound, I didn't want to see Frankie Montas after 6 starts that he made, or 5 starts that he made. I mean, I so quickly turned on this guy. Because he's just, from all aspects, a disappointment. Like, that's literally all he is. There's nothing he does well. There's nothing. And I tried to be patient. I really did. I tried so hard. I was like, you know what? Pitching is pitching. Guys get hurt all the time. Montas has had some success at some point. Maybe they can tap into something. They did okay with Canning. They did okay with something. I see nothing with this guy. Nothing. It's not even the fact that he doesn't pitch consistently. He struggles to throw strikes. He's so home run prone. The usage of his pitches are so predictable. How he doesn't use that much of a kitchen sink. How he can't go deep into games. Also, the body language of this guy. God. Like, buddy.
He also sweats warming up in the bullpen.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Trevor May.
Yep. He's
health
got
regimen.
That. Yes, he does.
No disrespect to Trevor May. He's I'm sure I know that he's a very nice guy. However, there's just nothing redeeming about him. There hasn't been since he became a Met. And obviously he's going to take a free $17 million because who's going to take him? Who's going to take him on the free agent market with him recovering from Tommy John surgery and giving him what? $19 million or whatever? Like, one of the main pieces of assets with a lot of pitchers these days is, are you healthy? He's not. He's not healthy. And when he is healthy, he's been crap. What a disappointment. What a letdown. Does that make me lose some trust into David Stearns? It makes me very disappointed. Definitely does. I trust him a lot more with the young guys and what they're doing with the farm system, because of the 2 draft classes they've had so far have been very impressive. However, I am very, very underwhelmed to the fact that maybe there just is a source that they are just looking in a direction where maybe it's just too damaged beyond repair. And that's the one thing that I'm trying so hard to reject, because we had Severino come in here as one of the worst pitchers in all of baseball. We had Manaea come in here and have one of the best years of his career. Griffin Canning was good until he got injured. Clay Holmes has struggled as much as it has been. He still has been a competitive pitcher, and he's given us a quality season, just no volume whatsoever. So they've had successes here. However, the questionable part of Frankie Montas is what exactly was the basis of this? What exactly was the basis? What were the tools? What was the platform for him? And I'm not seeing what they saw in him at all. I really am not seeing what they saw in him. I'm seeing that what they saw in him maybe a few years ago when his stuff was really, really good. But that has regressed into hell. His fastball is so much different from 2 years ago. He's so out of sorts. Completely out of sorts. And you watch the guy pitch, he does not have that violent or unorthodox of emotion. He has a pretty repeatable motion, and for some reason he can't put things together. I don't know. I don't know what they saw here, and whatever they did see, it doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. It may matter to any effects next year because of what they probably will end up paying him no matter what to not pitch. But what a disappointment. What a complete disappointment. I can't fathom how awful of a move that this was. How bad it is looking. I feel like the repercussions of some of these moves that haven't been great have not been as detrimental to the team, or at least a majority of them. But this one, hands down, is the worst made by David Stearns. Hands down. I think we can all agree. We all can agree. And if we're going with Siri got hurt. Was he going to be here the whole year if he didn't get hurt and play? I don't know. No clue. Winker, I will kind of be a Jesse Winker defender.
No, but
however,
he had a back thing in the playoffs too that it feels like might have never gotten sorted out. So again, I mean, I talked about this before too, but he literally signed guys who he knew had an injury at the end of the year as like, oh, they're going to be fine this year. Like that, he did it with Manaea. He did it with Winker. Like, I just think that's not a great business model to take. You could, if for pitching, that's horrible.
I get it. I really get it.
I try to get a healthy body, and like there's other bats out there. I mean, you mean to tell me this is the only guy you could find who's not even a traditional DH anyways? Like
it's hard to say
behind Alonso, and we didn't have Alonso at the time.
It's hard to say with the ass because again, $7 million is what they ended up giving him, which is like pretty much the DH type of market or whatever. And again, that more has to do with the Marte contract being here, which is kind of what they were kind of hand tied to, because again, it wasn't just the 20 million to Starling Marte, it was the plus luxury tax that was added onto it. So again, I feel like that's the main reason as to why we continue to question some of the decisions. I feel like they were just kind of tied down to. However, Winker, I feel like, was productive here when he was healthy. He wasn't healthy enough. I do really appreciate the postseason run that he did have, obviously. But, this year, non-existent. Really non-existent. When he was here, somewhat productive, not existent at all because of the injury. I feel like if it's one way or another, you can expect it. I'd like to kind of look at the production, but the availability of these moves have been really, really bad. Really, really bad. Manaea hurt all year. Siri hurt since April. You've had Winker hurt pretty much all year. And then even AJ Minter, who has barely even been mentioned, who we expected to be a big
another
part of this
offseason
bullpen.
signing. Like
Another
again,
offseason
coming
signing.
off of an injury.
Yes.
He was coming off an injury. Like, you can't. This is what bothered me with the rotation. I say you can't do so many experiments. You also can't do everyone coming off an injury. Like that is just such a risky way to go. Especially when you have the biggest, like, you have such a huge payroll. You have this owner. You don't have to do that. Like, that's a Milwaukee thing. Like, you know who they brought back? Brandon Woodruff. Like, Milwaukee all the time will do those like 2-year deals. Let guy rehab first year, then he plays second year. Like, that's a Milwaukee thing. That's not a New York thing. Like, go for healthy bodies. I mean, you can't do it for everybody.
They've done it with a few. They've done it with a few like bullpen arms.
Yeah, bullpen is a couple of 2-year deal, whatever. But you can't say, "Oh, I'm going to sign a guy who came off an injury and expect him to play this season." Like, that is not how you.
You are right about that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the full impression of injuries are obviously just basically the inevitable. However, there has to be some kind of context in the matter of, well, Manaea was, saying that his arm came out at the end. So, and then you also had, too. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you had, AJ Minter coming off of an injury, coming off of surgery, which they expected to be back. And when he came back, he was good. Then he ends up getting injured again. I feel like there are some clues into the matter. Pitching, I feel like that's their job at this point, to just continue to get injured. But when it came to the position players, Winker, he's been banged up before as well. He's been banged up even beforehand. And then, kind of having to force with Marte, who also has had injury history, and they had to keep up with that. I think that it was a rough year, whether it was production or overall injuries. And I think that the fact that you also have these key players that have been very inconsistent this year have also just basically rubbed salt into the wound and has not gotten them to a point where they can be something. When it came to Montas, the original impression from me was, this is a starting pitcher 5. He got starting pitcher 5 money. And the best way to basically describe that is Taijuan Walker, who got $18 million from the Phillies, starting pitcher 5 money, and he became just completely unplayable. When you're talking about a run for return on investment, it just becomes a point where, $17 million would be an overpay for a reliever, which they ended up trying to have him do. He made one appearance or 1 or 2 appearances, and he wasn't really anything else. And basically, return on investment, if you want to look at it from what you gave him, $34 million split across 2 years, obviously a player option, he gave you negative $200K of value.
But he won't pay that money back.
Which ain't good. Which he will not give us money back, but he really should. He should be paying us.
Watching what we saw. Yeah. I mean, really,
I'm sure they're going to get reimbursed with something, but it's still not going to really help anything in the luxury tax anyway. So, yeah. It's just, I don't know. Epic fail. epic.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of epic fails, can we discuss tonight's lineup? It's a brand new one. I mean, when was the last time they did a new lineup?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Have you seen tonight's lineup?
Oh, is it bad?
Oh, it's weird. It's very weird.
I don't know. I think this is. I don't know. I think you're over exaggerating here.
Oh no, I'm gonna get ready to over exaggerate. So
no, this is great. I don't know. I think what's missing is Vientos leading off. Actually,
yeah. I mean, I honestly I wouldn't even be mad about that because I understand that. I don't understand some of the other stuff that's in here. So it's like if you had to rank where Jeff McNeil has been as Mets, one of the Mets offensive players, where would you rank him? You know, it's like number
14th.
14th best hitter on the
You're
Mets
asking the wrong person, buddy. You're asking the wrong person.
That's fine. But seriously, like,
you gave me a layup. All right. I would probably fourth-ish.
Okay.
Fourth.
Do you know that he has drastic reverse splits this season? Is hitting over 300 against lefties. And can you believe that against a lefty, he is batting 8th after Tyrone Taylor? Really? And also, Cedric Mullins has reverse splits too, and we're starting Tyrone Taylor. But we have Marte batting 3rd. I mean, like, what is happening here? Like, what? And Nimmo's back to 6th. Like, they just
put it in a blender,
like all over the place. It's not Eric Chavez's fault. It's like, oh, it's McNeil's fault. Let's bat him 8th. Like, what is going on? I mean, it's just like, what?
I do blame
Taylor ahead
McNeil
of him.
For the loss.
I don't get this. Like,
I do blame McNeil for the loss yesterday because he did do a lot of bad things. I mean, the only reason why I would think that this would make sense is because I know because Jeff McNeil, I'm pretty sure, is like 0 for 9 against Christopher Sanchez. But he still should be batting higher.
But this is another thing too, is that I mean, unless the offense completely sucks, which it might because the lineup they put out there, Christopher Sanchez ain't pitching the whole game. So it's like, okay, well, like that's the thing. I feel like a lot of times Mendoza or whoever's in charge does not think about what's going to happen later on because like the pitch.
Are you saying he's not going to throw a complete game shutout? Are you saying that? You want to guarantee that?
No, with this lineup, it very well could happen.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, you know, when they make the other bullpen moves, how's it going to feel late in the game in the 8th inning when you have Taylor batting 7th and McNeil batting 8th? How are we going to feel about that situation? You know, because I feel like we've talked about that a lot. They had McNeil play first base yesterday. Like there's been a lot of weirdness this season, but it just feels like lately it's been even weirder, which is annoying. So it's just a lot of stuff.
It's the end of August, and they still don't have a lineup down.
Exactly. It's like, how in the world, after over 130 games, you don't know your lineup yet? Are you ever going to know it? Are we ever going to get, by the end of the season, we will know that this is the lineup that works for us? You think the Phillies do this, like the team who's ahead of us? Do you think they do like different lineups every single day? I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely insane that they continue.
It's okay to have like one or two platoons in there,
it's like stuff that doesn't make. No, it's not even platoons. I'm not even talking about platoons. It's just like
which the Phillies have, like I was saying, like they have one or two platoons.
Other teams have platoons. They have it with Bader and Kepler and Sosa. These other guys, fine. But there's some of the construction of like, do you know, like the whole thing of like, oh well, it's a lefty, so I got to move this guy here, like. Some guys can have reverse splits. Like, that's allowed. Like, you have to, like, actually look at it. It's not so much like, oh, he's a lefty, he goes here, and oh, he's a righty, he goes there. Like, you have to think about the full picture. Okay, well, does this player have reverse splits? What's going to happen later in the game with the guy who's batting in front of him? Am I going to have to take Taylor out? Now I might have two lefties batting back-to-back if I put Mullins in the game. Like, you have to think about more things here when you're making these lines, and it just feels like they just literally hit a random generator, and whatever comes out, that's what they do. Because it's just so random because it's never consistent. Like, I just don't understand a lot of the thought process of why certain guys are in specific spots based off recent performance, past performance. Like what are we doing? Like, what is this based off of? I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. Even if I put Nimmo 8th, I'll listen to the argument. McNeil 8th, no. I don't like that one at all.
Yeah, he should be going 9th. But anyways, no, the thing I do feel like with this lineup at this point, I can't like you're hearing me like just react so like monotone to this because it's like any combination they suck, so who cares? Like, to me it's like any combination, it's do or die. I don't even care at anymore.
If you're a team that's already struggling offensively, like you could say that like there are just some where you can flat out say, no, this is dumb. You know, like
they struggle no matter what. That's
we've
my
seen
thing.
some lately. I mean, we have people in the chat talking about like the whole putting Tyrone Taylor in left field and Mullins in center field. Like, you know, that's a whole other issue. Like, there's just been a lot of
dumb.
pulling. Like, Vientos been one of your hottest bats. We have a whole segment about Mark Vientos heating up. No, let's get him out of the game for a pinch runner that we never try to steal a base with. You know, like it's stuff like that. That it's like you don't pull your best hitters from tight games. Like that's just not a good idea. You know, you wouldn't do it with Pete. So like, why are you doing it with Vientos? You wouldn't do it with Soto. So I mean, I just a lot of stuff. I really just do not like what I've seen.
Marte, I do understand the context. Obviously, I don't think he belongs in the top part of the order because, you know, he's Marte, but he does have a really good history against Christopher Sanchez, so I understand as to why. Doesn't mean I have to agree.
I hate that argument too because this is a player who's on like his last legs, even though he's played better than we expected this season. But like when you say, oh, well, he has a great career history.
He hit him well in the postseason too, right? Didn't he?
I mean, okay, fine, but it's like a lot of this stuff. Like he's not the same guy he was a few years ago, where he like a lot of times these guys had these great career numbers. It's not always indicative. It's not like, oh well, if he hit this guy great.
Are you sure about that? Because there's people on Twitter saying that they should re-sign Marte.
I've seen that. I've seen that. And listen, I mean, don't let recency bias fool you. You know, like we'll see, but that's not what I would do.
Yeah, Frank. That's why he's batting eighth. Take it.
Well, good. I mean, so then the rest of the innings when we're facing the bullpen, then he just bats eighth.
Yeah, sure.
Makes sense to me. And then Taylor bats ahead of him. So, you know, this means that we want to make sure that even if he shows against Christopher Sanchez, we want to get Tyrone Taylor more at bats for maybe our third or fourth best hitter. It makes sense to me. I mean, that is something like if I could get one of my worst hitters to bat more than one of my best hitters, that's a great idea. I think
hey, now Tyrone Taylor had a 3-hit game in game one.
Yeah,
so
and he went like 3
bank on it,
without
bank
getting
forever.
3 hits. So I mean, come on now.
Yeah, it's I don't get it, but I've come to a point where I'm like they're just going to be inconsistent in any sort of direction. It's up to them to just show up, and they end up just showing up in random spurts and never doing it consistently. So I just can't. I can't come to a point where I understand any lineup they're putting up at this point because I feel like there needs to be more consistency and they need to find some kind of ideal lineup. But it always just seems like just taking, you know, going Lindor, Soto, and then just drawing 7 names out of a hat. Like that's how it seems to me. Like that's all it has seemed to me all year. And I don't know if that ever is going to change. The fact that we need to, you know, wonder who's going to be in the lineup every single day with a so-called championship caliber roster is just fucking unreal to me. It really is. It seems like adjustments need to be made when they need to be made, when like guys are struggling or something's happening. But every goddamn day, how are you supposed to find any type of consistency? Have they found any this year? No. Exactly. Another one of these factors that puts you in a position as to why this offense continues to underperform, which I have just basically rolled with the punches now. Like I can't even get mad anymore. I'm just like, yeah, that checks out. Why not? Sure. Because tomorrow we will be having Marte, I'm sure, leading off tomorrow because he has numbers against Jesus Luzardo. I'm sure that'll happen.
Fun lab tomorrow. I can't wait to see that one.
We'll have I don't know, Taylor batting third, something like that.
Maybe Terren's clean up or something like that. You know.
Yeah, Terren's clean up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. No clue. Beatty will probably bat ninth while he's red hot or something. Vientos, they'll probably put into the lower third of the lineup.
Well, Beatty's not even playing tonight, so...
No, well, he shouldn't be. But the thing is...
But, I mean, that's the thing, too. But you also, I mean, we've talked about this, too, but you have to consider, like, development. You know, it's like... And we talked about this a million years ago with Conforto. We talked about with Nimmo. Why'd you develop young talent? But it's like, if you want... The best way for your left-handed hitters to get better against left-handed pitchers is to get those reps, because how else are they going to learn? You know, so it's like at some point, if you think that Beatty is a future piece on this team, I'm not talking about you specifically, but as an organization, if you feel that way, he's got to play. You can't turn him into a platoon player. You just can't do that. So, like, you know what? There's going to be some growing pains, but that's part of being like having young players. You know, you just want to stick with you have the old guys forever. You're not going to. So that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's also just the switching in and out of, like we said, they have like 4 DHs on this team. They have 3 first basemen. Yeah. It's just one of those things that I'll never understand the direction they're going in, and I just hope that most of the time it works out. Like, that's literally it. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping, because we can do all the complaining we want. They'll score 11 runs tonight, I'm sure, just out of spite, because for some reason they heard that message reverb through the gutters of New York. I mean, it's just I can't even fathom how this team will ever make sense to me. It'll never happen. Never. It will never happen. Yeah, there is plenty of these situations that we have been going through, obviously going into this entire thing. Obviously, we went over Montas, but I do want to get into what happened in Atlanta, obviously.
An hour in again.
An hour in again, back to back. Just completely going off the grid, ranting off the grid, but hey, it's definitely necessary, with how crazy this has been. So let's obviously get into what happened in Atlanta. We start off with one of the bright spots that we have seen over these last few weeks and probably all year through the minor league system. Nolan McLean in game 1, he would make the start and he would top his debut performance. He started off by tripping on the mound on his first pitch and hitting a batter, but afterwards he was complete nails. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts on 94 pitches. A lot of offense in this game, so let's run it down quicker than usual. In the second, Hayden Sanger RBI single, 1-0 Mets. Juan Soto walks with the bases loaded, 2-0 Mets. In the third, 2-run triple by Cedric Mullins, 4-0 Mets. In the fourth, Starling Marte sacrifice fly, 5-1 Mets. Mark Vientos RBI double, 6-1 Mets. Tyrone Taylor RBI double, 7-1 Mets. In the seventh, Juan Soto 2-run homer, his 32nd of the year, 9-2 Mets. In the eighth, Hayden Sanger 2-run single, 11-2 Mets, and RBI single by Juan Soto, 12-2 Mets. However, the Mets bullpen tried to blow it in the later innings. Reed Garrett would come on for the eighth and surrender 2 earned runs on 3 hits. Ryan Helsley would get the ninth, and he'd allow 3 earned runs of his own on 3 hits and a walk. But he would finally end the game to hold on in game 1, 12-7. Game 2, Clay Holmes would get the start, and for the first time in a long time, he'd provide volume, escaping a few jams in the process. He'd come out for the 7th and retire the first batter, but be pulled after a 1-out single by Drake Baldwin. Gregory Soto would come on and work around a walk of his own to strand Holmes' base runner with a strikeout to close the book on Holmes. 6 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts on 94 pitches. The Mets would get going offensively in the third inning after a leadoff single by Francisco Lindor and a walk to Juan Soto. Jeff McNeil would give the Mets a 3-0 lead with his 11th home run of the year. Fast forward all the way to the 7th. After a leadoff walk to Juan Soto, Pete Alonso would slash a 2-run homer to right field, hugging the foul pole to extend the Mets' lead to 5-2. Mark Vientos would follow it up with his 10th home run of the year, and Starling Marte would launch his 8th home run of the year, giving the Mets a 7-2 lead. Tyler Rogers would pitch in the 8th and toss a scoreless inning with a strikeout. The Mets would add on in the 9th. Mark Vientos would hit his 2nd home run of the night, his 11th of the year, and Jeff McNeil would follow him with his 2nd home run of the night, his 12th of the year, staking the Mets to a 7-run lead. Edwin Diaz would pitch the last of the 9th, working around a 2-out infield single with 2 strikeouts. He'd finish the game to secure back-to-back wins in Atlanta. Game 3, David Peterson would make the start. He would allow a little bit more base runners than usual. He'd pitch into the sixth and run into some trouble following a pair of walks, a single, and a costly failure to turn a double play on the Mets infield. Peterson would surrender a 2-run single to Sean Murphy to tie the game, getting pulled for Brooks Raley, who'd finish the inning and close the book on Peterson. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts on 98 pitches. The Mets would take the lead in the second inning after a leadoff walk to Jeff McNeil. Mark Vientos would launch his 12th home run of the year, a 2-run shot, his 3rd in the series. More on Mark Vientos later, by the way. Brooks Raley would come back out for the 7th and get the first 2 outs, leading Mendoza to bring in Huskar Brazaban for his first appearance since being recalled. He'd work around a hit to finish the inning. However, in the 8th, Gregory Soto would come on with the game tied at 2 and completely fall apart. A leadoff single to Ozzie Albies, a 2-out walk to Sean Murphy, following a hit by pitch to load the bases, setting up Jerickson Profar for a 2-run single, giving the Braves a 4-2 lead. The Mets would rally in the 9th against Raciel Iglesias. Back-to-back 1-out singles by Cedric Mullins and Francisco Lindor would set up Juan Soto to get the Mets within 1 with an RBI single, but Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil would both pop out to end the game, going 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position in the series finale. As the Mets do not sweep the Braves, and the Braves avoid the sweep in Game 3, 4-3. The Mets are now 69 and 61 on the season as they fall to a season worst 7 games behind the Phillies for first place in the National League East, and also entering tonight with a 1.5 game lead on Cincinnati for the final NL wild card spot. So obviously plenty to take away. The Mets go into their house of horrors, and normally, like I said, this would be considered a solid victory because the Mets never win here, but the Braves are not great. They were facing 3 pretty bad pitchers, pretty mediocre pitchers at best, and you just leave still feeling underwhelmed because they continue to show the same signs we've seen all year. Frank, I'll give you your venting session on this one before we get into Philly, obviously. I mean, good-ish on paper, but still not good enough. Just still not good enough. Still underwhelming to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you that, like, when you see an issue and you're able to overcome it, you shouldn't totally ignore it because, I mean, I talked about this on the recap, but in Game 2 of the series where they scored 9 runs, they went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. So it's like that still is something that you really don't want to make a habit of doing. That's still very problematic. You leave like 9 to 10 guys on base. You're able to overcome it because you hit so many home runs. And like that was great to see. But then the very next day, they go, as you mentioned, 1 for 9 with runners scoring position, still left 10 guys on base. But this time you come away with 3 runs instead of 9 runs because you weren't hitting as many home runs. And 2 of the runs you got was from a Vientos home run. So it's like, if you want to have a team that's assembled for power, that's one thing. But does your hitting coach try to emphasize that by maybe having to try to pull the ball, try to hit home runs? Because it's like, if the GM has guys who have a bunch of power, you try to emphasize that. You try to work around their strengths. But no, if your hitting coach wants to go opposite field and not pull the ball, well, then you have some offensive identity crisis, which is something that we've seen a lot. And guys kind of looking like they're not really sure what they're doing. They're in between. They don't know what pitch they're looking for because they'll get a great pitch to hit in a hitter's count and they'll take it down the middle. And then when they're in more of even a hitter-friendly count as well, there's a pitch in the dirt. Oh, let's go swing at that. I mean, we saw it once again yesterday where you see a walk, a 4-pitch walk, and what are we doing right away? We're just out there, going first pitch swinging. I mean, it's just like, are you watching what's happening in front of you? And again, there is a thing called adjustments. You make an adjustment. If the guy comes in and he can't get the ball over the plate, that does not mean that you go in there swinging at everything. Like, you have got to react to what the game is telling you, and it just feels like they never do. They never have a plan. They just kind of do whatever because there's some things where it's so obvious when you are a hitter that this is what you're supposed to do in these situations, and they don't do it. And it happens all the time. pitching. I mean, I talked about it yesterday too, but you talk about two-strike hitting approach. What about two-strike hitting approach? How in the world are you in a 1-2 count, 2 outs, bottom half of the order, and the call is back foot slider, and then you hit the back foot, you hit the back leg, and the guy gets on, and then you're walking the next guy 9-hitter. Like, what is happening here? I mean, it has to be any call but that. But maybe besides throwing it down the middle, like, you are 1-2 count. You have so many different other things you could do as a pitcher. That's the call. It's just like, you got to override that. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, so it's just a lot of the decision making that puts you in these terrible scenarios because you don't do the right thing in the obvious scenario. And it just feels like that's been a problem all year long. And you talked about last episode, but a lot of times the Mets' biggest problem is the Mets. I mean, you want to talk about shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, they all year long, they've been destroying their feet with how often they've hurt themselves with just like silly stuff. I mean, just like stuff that really shouldn't be happening, and it happens all the time. So once again, you can't say you're surprised, but it's still frustrating because like it's right there. I mean, you lost by 1 run. You had the lead. I mean, you're facing a bad pitcher. Like, there's just
how many
so
times
many
have we said that this year?
Yeah, I know. Like, there's so many things going for you. There's so many different ways you could have won this game, yet still lose it. And no matter what, it's just always so frustrating because it's like the team that you're facing. It's like, listen, they are several games under 500 for a reason. It's because they're not very good. So if you're a team that is above 500, you're trying to make the playoffs. You shouldn't be in that situation. But you know what? The Mets away, their road record is now 28-37. So that's an issue too, because guess what? In the playoffs, especially where you are right now, the last wild card, you're going to be playing a lot of road games. So you better get used to winning on the road. You got to start doing it because you're going to have to do it at some point because you do not have home field advantage.
No, you don't. And, we did have that in the first month, but, baseball season's not made in 1 month. But obviously going into, like you just said, with the constant self-infliction of decision-making, allowing extra bases, extending the inning, don't give away free outs, especially to a Braves team that will, no matter what, will continue to make you pay no matter what, especially to the top of the order.
Oh, and especially with Jurickson Profar. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, certified Met killer coming back off the suspension.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, that was like such a gimme. Like, if I could have been, I could have, but like, I wish I did. Because I knew that was like 100 out of 100% that he was going to get the hit there because like it was so obvious. Like those are like the unwritten rules of baseball.
It's called asking for it.
Yeah, but it's like automatic. It's like you hit the 8-hitter, you walk the 9-hitter, base load 2 outs, game tied. I mean,
you walk batters in general, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. That
was such a gimme that was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I looked up this stat earlier today. The Mets have walked 1,048 batters since the beginning of the 2024 season. They are third in the majors behind the White Sox and the Angels, who are 2 of the worst pitching teams in all of baseball in the last 2 seasons.
I mean, really,
the Mets, you can't really say that, right?
Excellent. I mean, he's doing great. I mean, all the people that are talking about how great he was in April and May, how's that looking now? Because we're right back to the walking issue we had last year. We are right back to it in full effect. Because I think recently they've been like this past however many months, they've been like
their first
the worst.
Walks.
Yeah, first. Yeah, they've been the worst.
Yeah.
So what are we doing about that?
Yep. Self-infliction. That's the thing. It has nothing to do with the team you're facing is good or this was a good swing or he just got beat. No, you're doing this to yourself. They're constantly doing this to themselves. This is literally how they constantly lose games, not coming through with runners in scoring position, either if they're facing a good pitcher or a bad pitcher, no matter what. They're constantly having these defensive miscues and mess ups that are giving away free outs. Brett Beatty not being able to turn a double play, which led to the flood of those two runs with David Peterson. David Peterson also walking 4 batters in the process and giving up free bases as well, when we know that the best thing that he can do is throw strikes and find a way to locate his slider and get chases. But for some reason, we still need to play scared. We still need to continue to do these riding up pitch counts, get into full counts, and make the margin for error so short, even though we know that they are just capable of dialing in. Not to mention the lack of mental game that we continue to see, where they continue to let the entire the floodgates open and then they go out to the mound, or someone doesn't go out to the mound with the mental game. They walk a batter, they walk back-to-back batters. Someone should go out to the mound. Nobody does. It's just basically going through the motions. We're on to the next trial and error. Keep going. The fact that we have a trial and error type of approach as of right now from both sides of the ball of just continuing to go through the motions. The fact that we have that at the end of August speaks volumes about this team. It just does.
Well, also yesterday they started 3 guys out of position, and that's another reason why you're gonna have. Listen, you're gonna have double play things be botched when you have almost your entire infield besides your shortstop.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You have 3 third basemen on this team.
I know, but I mean, it's just,
what are you gonna do?
You could sign a utility player that's not Nick Madrigal. Who also, hey Carson, I got another one for you. Another one. Wait a minute, another one. A major league contract, off-season move.
Was it major league?
And he was coming off an injury.
Was it major league?
Yes. Remember, that's why we were going crazy because we knew he was going to be here. It's just like, how many times are you going to sign guys coming off an injury and then they get injured? I think that one was a split
contract, but. Whatever.
Well, I mean, But he was going to be here because you have no utility player.
He was going to be on the roster. You're right.
So you have no utility player, and you lost him. So what do? You don't get a utility player. So you just keep 3 third basemen, and you put 1 third baseman at second base, 1 third baseman at first base, and keep another guy who's really was originally a shortstop, who's now playing third base. So it's like you have everybody in the wrong spot completely.
Yeah,
completely. Yeah. So you can't.
And you couldn't trade
if your defense looks like crap.
And you couldn't trade
any of them. The surplus.
Any of them.
To fit better. No, why would you do that? You have 2 guys who both can hit lefties, who both are third basemen, who both don't, they're in different spots all the time. Like, no, that roster construction makes so much sense to me. Of course, keep it. Leave it the way it is. You have Tyler to Jose Sirius, Cedric Mullins, like 3 center fielders who no one's allowed to play the corner besides Taylor. Like, of course, none of them can hit. Like, oh yeah, that's great roster construction right there. Leave it. Looks fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't get it. I really don't get how any of this stuff like intertwines with it, because like I understand wanting to have options, but like guys who can play the position doesn't mean they should. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I feel is of when people talk about Jeff McNeil in the outfield, they talk about
and that's the thing. McNeil played a lot of center field this season, like a lot of center field.
Yeah,
because you kept
he
a
did.
bunch of center fielders who can't hit, and then you had to put someone out there. Shocking. Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh well, if you brought in Taylor, he couldn't hit, and then you brought in Bader, who you knew couldn't hit, and then you brought in Siri, who you knew couldn't hit. But none of my center fielders can hit. What am I going to do? Oh, let me put a non-center fielder out there.
Yeah, like, I think the reliance.
A lot of this stuff, it's like the way like Stearns reacts to it as like this panic move. He can't be surprised. Like, I mean, how are you surprised that you were not getting offensive production with center field? You had to put McNeil there.
It's
like you.
I think they. Like, I think what they accepted.
Plans that are. Like,
I was fine with. Listen, I was fine with the Taylor Siri, but they needed to deepen the lineup. They needed to have somebody else in the lineup to help them, and I think the reliance on the young guys continuing this consistency is the main reason as to why it looks so bad. Like I said, Taylor being in this lineup every day looks bad because he's batting 7th, or he's looking bad because he's batting 8th. He should be batting 9th. However, it's been so inconsistent with the offenses. Like, okay,
Terrence is worse. You have to put Terrence 9th.
Yeah, now Terrence is worse because your top catcher is injured now. So it's like you have so many of these situations where you just can't put these guys in the certain position where they could possibly succeed and give you the most out of them. Now you're just kind of moving everybody up because whether it is injuries, because of whether it is the overall consistency or the overall production, but also you're shooting yourself in the foot too when you're like, okay, well, we want consistency out of Beatty, Mauricio, and Vientos, but they all play the same position.
Yeah, you want consistency out of them, but don't consistently play them. I mean, make it make
sense. Because they're all taking playing time away from each other.
Yeah,
it's like, oh well, one of them can DH. What are you going to do with Marte then? Like that's the thing. It's like you're creating a logjam, and then not acknowledging the logjam, and then
and what's crazy is like people talking about it, but like Marte wasn't terrible in left field. Like, I can't say I hated it. You know what I mean? Like, again,
he should have been playing left field last year.
I know, but it's like if Marte was so prone, here we go with the ifs. If Nimmo was so injury prone, if you want to do and you want to get Taylor out of there, you put Nimmo in center, Marte in left. You let all the young guys play. You might be able to score a few runs, but
yeah, it would be nice.
Because here's the thing too, is that like and the Phillies kind of did this a couple years ago. If your defense sucks anyway, you might as well just put out a good offense out there. You know what I mean? Remember they used to have Castellanos and Schwarber both in the outfield. Like it used to look terrible, but they won games, they scored runs.
The problem with that in this context,
it's like, why are you bad defensively and bad offensively? Like, I don't.
The only issue with that is the Phillies. They didn't expect the ball to be put in play against them so much. That's the thing. Like, they never did because they had primary strikeout pitchers. We have guys who a majority of their success is putting the ball on the ground.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
That's the problem.
What? And it's like, but if you have a guy, and we talked about this before, but also like if you're making a lineup, who's your pitcher? If it's Holmes,
but that's the thing. Then there's a contradiction.
Like, you should have your normal infielders out there. Like,
yeah. That's the thing. Then there's a contradiction of having a ground ball pitcher in David Peterson out there and then putting Mark
guys
Vientos
out of
at
position.
third base.
Yeah,
Mark Vientos at third base.
No,
or
Mark
Beatty at second base.
Vientos was it was Vientos at first.
Vientos at
Mauricio
first.
at third, Beatty at second. It was 3 guys out of position.
And we all know Pete isn't hurt. So what was the point of that, right? And then they ended up having to put McNeil at first base.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing here? This is the end of August.
We have 3 guys out of position. Now let's put someone over there who's never played there, maybe like an inning. And it's great. Now let's put him there. Like it's just it's so crazy. And then it's like, guy that should be in center field, he's in left field. It's like a who's on first kind of thing going on. I mean, that's what's happening. I don't know who's on third base. Like that's literally what has been going on.
That's the thing. We've talked about like how this roster does not fit well, and there's such a logjam at some positions, and that's another thing to the lack of the consistency. But I'm just wondering, when is the message going to be sent that someone's got to go? Someone.
They did.
Beatty, Mauricio, someone.
We thought for sure, like with all the things we saw, all the rumors, the White Sox are calling, the Astros are calling, the Marlins are calling, that one of these infielders were going to go. At least one, even if it was Acuna. And some even talked about him, like maybe call up Acuna because he kind of fits better than Mauricio right now for like defense and running, like these other things. And it's like, no, we'll keep him too, but we'll put him in the minor leagues. You know what I mean? Like it's just they kept everybody, they kept all of them. You have a bunch of infielders, people want them. No, we're keeping all of them, and we're not going to play all of them.
Yeah,
come on,
I don't get it.
Like,
and a majority of them are young players who need to play every day to actually contribute.
Yes,
I just
exactly
that I don't understand. And if they're trust me, if they are still,
and Carson,
if this entire unit is still here by spring training next year, then I'm going to be like, okay, fuck this.
But here's the best part. Even though you don't like him, there is not a spot right now for our number 1 prospect. How about that? That's good roster construction right there.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
What do I mean?
Our what?
Our number 1 prospect? Who is it? A guy you don't like? Jonathan. Position player. Who's our best position player?
Carson Bench.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, it's another infielder who we don't have a spot for right now. So it's like they got to figure multiple people have got to go.
Listen, I've never been someone to be like, oh, well, this guy in the infield, he's got it. Like every shortstop, because we have Francisco Lindor in the organization, has to go right now, and we don't need to. Like, but it's like it comes to a point where you have, I don't know, 400 infielders.
Yeah, like eventually it gets a little ridiculous. Like some guys got to move.
Someone's got to go. Like you've seen enough of all of them. Someone's got to go. I also am in full agreement that Mauricio should finish the season in AAA because he needs to. He does need to get more because he's barely playing
lefties. Because that's the thing too, is that like we talk about Beatty too, but
he was called up earlier than we expected. That was the thing.
Expected because the guys weren't doing well. That is true, but it just thinks that he's a switch hitter, so it's like there's really no excuse to hide a switch hitter from a lefty, because that's the whole point of being a switch hitter, because you can hit both. And he's been so bad against lefties. Today you're facing a lefty. Yes, sir. You're facing say you're facing a lefty. You don't start him. So it's like if he was in AAA, that doesn't kill you. It's like, okay, well, he can get his ABs. He's coming back from a knee injury. He's out more than a year. Let him get the at bats against a lefty. But now we just hide him completely. So again, it's just like Oh, yeah. Oh.
If they call up a fucking infielder on September 1st,
that's confirmed. It's Acuna. Who else is it going to be? They don't have depth. We know this. That's why we're
Joey Meneses and Luis Angel Acuna are going to be coming up here.
Yes.
As the September call-ups.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Anyways, in this series, obviously, we can run this down and finish some things off here with studs and duds. Of course.
I like this idea better than Joey Meneses.
Might be a third catcher.
I like this idea better.
It probably will happen, even though
because we can't pinch hit in the 6th inning with the bases loaded. Because I mean, God forbid, lightning.
Who's gonna fix that though? That's the thing. That's the problem. Who's gonna fix that?
Having a third catcher, because they were too afraid to take Torrens out, so they let him play the whole game.
Ali Sanchez is gonna fix that.
If it allows you to actually get the lead, yes. It's more so just like get the lead first instead of staying behind.
Mean subbing? Okay, now
yes.
I was looking at position per position. That's
no.
Okay.
It's like pinch it Torrens, and then you could use another catcher, and you have a third catcher in case the lightning bolt happens. So you have a third.
I don't know if the lightning bolt happens.
Because that's what they're planning for. Because I mean, what injuries come to the catcher in the last 3 innings, as long as you're not sliding head first into second base, because that guy's already out. So you don't have to factor that into the equation.
No, could he be out? I don't know. Anyways, studs and duds. One player in this series that was good, one that was not. Frank, I'll swing it to you for your stud of this series, because we did win the series.
They did,
but
it's hard to believe.
It may not sound like it.
But this is, again, it's a build-up though, because we've seen a lot of issues the whole season, and it's still kind of affecting the way they go about business today. But speaking of infielders, one who played really well, Mark Vientos. I mean, he was hitting home runs left field, right field, 2-run homer, solo homer. I mean, he looked a lot more like what we know he's capable of. And that's one of the reasons why Mauricio got called up in the first place, why Beatty got more playing time, is because based off how Vientos did last year, he was supposed to be a third baseman this year. That was set in stone. We were like, maybe he's going to be the first baseman because we felt that good about him. He didn't play well. All these other guys get called up. He loses playing time. Trade rumors happen. He warms up. Now he looks like he's really back on track right now. And guess what? All of a sudden, he's playing third base again because he's starting at third base tonight. So it's like all of a sudden, once his bat is good, now his glove's not a big issue. Now it's like, oh, we can't play third. It was more so he can't play third because he couldn't hit either. So you were just totally crushing yourself. But it's like all of a sudden, oh, yeah, that's right. He can play third. So he's at third now. So, every day is a different third baseman, and today it's Vientos.
Yep. You have 3. Yep. You have 3 different third basemen. I'm sure they'll add one in the offseason so we can have a 4th one and not trade any of them. The thing is that I think if we were, obviously we'll get into Vientos later on, but I think if there is the best way to establish this series was obviously with what Nolan McLean did. It wasn't the fact of the good pitching performance or the excitement behind him as a prospect. It was more of how he was able to execute it. Gave us something that we have seen all year from this pitching staff, giving us volume. He walked no one. Looked pretty good. The first pitch was a little bit not great, but ever since then, it was pretty good. He had yet another great performance. He topped his major league debut in overall volume as well. It was a great outing for him, and obviously it's pretty easy to get excited about the future of this kid. Let's hope that he stays healthy, stays on the mound. It's good, but however, just an incredible start off so far from Nolan McLean. It sucks that we have to write him in right now as maybe a playoff starter if they make it to the playoffs, because they have to rely. It sucks that they have to rely on a 24-year-old to basically just completely save the day. And not let him go through any growing pains in the major leagues. But so far, he has handled it with flying colors. It's been very, very impressive. Nolan McLean has been just as good as advertised so far. Let's hope he can keep it going. Clay Holmes, another guy you can put in there, finally gave us that volume, finally was able to keep the ball on the ground consistently, was able to throw more strikes. Good outing for him. Hopefully he can build on it. It started to look like, the wheels were starting to fall off for him. Every single game seemed like a battle, but for him to establish that at the end of August, saying, maybe I'm still here, or maybe the Braves just suck, who knows. But at that point, he had a really good outing, kept his pitch count low, and was able to go deep into that game. Let's just say that. Anyways, the dud side of this performance, there's quite a few you can put into this category. Frank, I'll give it right back to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alonso, and it's mostly based off of yesterday. I mean, from the DH spot, he goes 0 for 5, and he went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Like, that is just not going to get it done. When you have Lindor getting on, Soto getting on, even Cedric Mullins getting on, to just strand all of them in the 3 spot as the DH, as the RBI guy. And just overall, he had the 1 home run on the Saturday game, which everyone had a home run. He didn't do anything the first game. It was just a rough series for him. It just seems like sometimes timing just seems a little off. He's hitting the ball on the ground way too much. That was another thing he did a lot yesterday. He had like a few straight at-bats of ground outs. So that's a big no-no with his lack of speed and lack of speed the guy in front of him and Soto. So that's a big, big issue. So it did not have his best performance for sure.
Yeah. He was taking a lot of those inside pitches, getting sawed off a lot in this series. I think Gregory Soto can be in this category as well after that entire meltdown. I don't want to completely throw him under the bus because he has been really, really good for us, but definitely not a great outing for him.
But again, though, Carson, if you have a super bullpen, right? That's what you have. Super pen. If you see a walk, a hit by pitch, a hit, you think you might want to take that guy out if he's giving up this many base runners? Maybe it doesn't happen because we've been overworking him a little bit because he's our only good pitcher. Consider it, or no, just let it play out.
No, let him go. Let him go. Let him spread his wings. Let him fly. Yeah. That's really what it goes to. But no, he probably should have been taken out after he faced 3 batters because he basically was not finding a way to get any of them. I mean, I understand wanting to push for that final out, but it seemed like every single pitch, he kept on making it worse for himself and could not throw any strikes. So it was not a great outing for him. And then also Ryan Helsley, another just horrendous outing.
Even in low
towards the end of the game, making us sweat with 12 runs on the board. Ridiculous. I don't want to completely fry Reed Garrett because he just went on the injured list, so he probably was just completely banged up. However, Reed Garrett recently, yikes. But he ends up going on the injured list. We'll get into that in a second. And then there was one guy that I also wanted to mention in this series that was not particularly great. Let's see. I guess I'm not...
Mauricio?
Mauricio is one of them, but there was somebody else.
Not Nimmo, because he barely
I guess
played.
not. Yeah, Nimmo didn't really play. Oh well. Anyways. Yeah, and MEZ is agreeing, saying Alonso did have a rough series. He did. He definitely did. Aside from that 1 home run he had, every single time he was up here.
Even Soto, he was pitching on back-to-back days too. Like,
yeah.
Oh no, sorry. They pitched game 1. They pitched game 1. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Was it game 2? I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess I won't. Think
no,
of
it was no, it was game 2. It was game 2. It was back-to-back days he pitched.
Yeah, he pitched in game.
Game
Soto
2.
pitched in game 2. He pitched in game 3 too, as well, back-to-back days. Which
it's like which again, I mean, we talk about it, but it's like if you're gonna push Nolan and you're gonna push Clay Holmes, you do it so that you can be more flexible with the bullpen and take guys in and out much easier because you have more rest because you finally got some volume.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, let's just go to the guys on back-to-back days. And again, it's like why in the world, if Reed has something going on, and this is like a whole nother rant, but how many times have we seen this, Carson? They go shorthanded for a few days with the bullpen because all of a sudden a guy has an injury. Frankie Montas, they play shorthanded because they had injury. Reed Garrett, they play shorthanded because they had injury. If you don't feel well, go on the IL and call somebody up. Why are we thinking about it? Why are we saying, oh, maybe later? I mean, it's too late in the season for maybe later. You know what I mean? Like, this bullpen has been so overworked. If you have a nagging injury that we can't use you today, you're going on the injury list because you're probably out for the season anyway. Because it's like, why are you playing shorthanded? I don't get that at all, because instead you're going to overwork your other guys and increase the likelihood of injuries to other players. So I don't understand that thought process either. And they keep doing this. This is not the first time. It's not the second time. This keeps happening. So it's like, if you didn't have Reed available, so you're going to overwork Soto and him probably not do well or just get hurt himself. Why are we doing that? Like, you don't have a bunch of other guys who could call up here? Come on.
Yeah, I know. But again, it's not really the fact of, the thing with, Reed, obviously there's something going on with him for weeks, which is probably the main reason as to why it's a little, it's a little like, there's a lot of pushback on that, and I understand being upset with Reed Garrett going to the injured list because of how bad he's been for a while, and that's why I think specifically, I think Reed Garrett, it's a frustrating tale with him because of how rough he has been. Because it's very possible that the elbow inflammation was something that was contributing to his struggles. Because, again, he was good to start the season. He was really, really good to start the season. Same thing went.
Didn't he have elbow inflammation last year too, when he was getting worked like crazy, going 3-inning outings or whatever in the beginning of the season?
Something soreness, something.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know, man.
They've driven him into the ground. We all know it.
They've driven everybody into the ground because they keep playing shorthanded too. Like you think you were driven guys to the ground before, we'll play shorthanded. Now you really have less guys to use. So that's what I don't get either. And the thing too is that nowadays, back in my day, we didn't have a 10-day injury list. We had a 15-day injury list. So it's like you also have like these new things that you could use to your advantage, and you don't lose a guy for that long. And you know what? A lot of these guys could use 10 days off to begin with in the first place. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on. Why are you playing shorthanded? Why? This late in the season? You want more guys to go down? You haven't lost enough.
Yeah. They did the same thing with the bench too. They had McNeil out.
Oh yeah, they had a one-man bench the other day. What was that? You had only Ronnie because Ferenc was hurt, McNeil's hurt.
Was it really one man?
It was one man. It was Mauricio. That was it. They literally only had Ronnie because everyone else was hurt. They had 3 guys out. It was crazy. Unbelievable.
I get if it's like a 24 hours thing where it's like, okay, I'm just not 100% right now, but I'll be good
and
the next day.
I do wish they had, and it's like, what's the point of a taxi squad? I do wish they had a little something like a 5-day, a 3-day. Like, come on, why do you have guys, potentially playing through injury or again playing shorthanded to make other guys more liable for injury? Like
in the minors, they have like the temporary inactive list.
Yeah.
I think there's something like that, where it's
I
like
a
96-hour thing or something. Yeah.
Because it's like in basketball, you always have like a bunch of guys next to you who are like two-way guys. They're G League and they play for the pro team. And it's less players, but it's like, oh, well, if this guy can't go today, I use my G League guy for like 1 day, 2 days, and then boom, I could just swap my other guy back in. Like, I wish they had something like that. So we're not talking about.
Unfortunately, the NBA doesn't play every day. That's probably the main reason as to why.
They have a pretty tough schedule. They have back to backs. They have. It's not
they've had
status.
They've had back to backs, but they're not six games a week.
It's not like it used to be. But it's like something that I feel like if you have a taxi squad anyway, I feel like it's something that it would kind of benefit everyone. Even the viewers should not have as many injuries happening. Like, I do think it's something they should consider.
Yeah, I don't know. The thought process is very questioning. Let's just say that. Very, very questioning. I don't know. I feel like burdening yourself for like one game, it's whatever. But like when you have like multiple key players, you probably need to fill in those voids a little bit better. I know that they have a little bit more options compared to what they've had like years ago, but it's still not great. Like, again, they have guys who probably could play the outfield if they need it, in some certain situations. I know they have obviously the 4 outfielders right now, and then obviously Jeff has played outfield this year, and there's other things that they could try and do, but I mean, pinch hitting for some of these guys who are not defensive guys and not offensive guys. I mean, I feel like we've seen a lot of Tyrone Taylor recently, even with Cedric Mullins healthy, because of Brandon Nimmo or even Jeff McNeil, who was also an outfield option. So it's again, and then that also clogs in the infield again, and then you have three third basemen again. Like, again, it all wraps into each other. Like, yeah, okay, positional versatility, if they can play the position, doesn't mean they should, but if they need to play the position, still don't play shorthanded. Like, still don't have somebody there. I'm sure they do have, like, the taxi squad of guys that are there, but I think that's more of pitchers. I think that's more, like, I think that's, like, more, like, just injured pitchers traveling with the team. Like, that's what I think is more a factor,
anyway.
which...
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't do that.
Pitchers hanging out in the bullpen.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen Winker hang out in the bullpen too. He's
I've seen him there. I've seen him there too. Yeah. I'm like, Winker, what are you doing?
I don't know if he's there to support Soto from right field or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Soto loves the bullpen.
Soto loves that bullpen.
If he wasn't a hitter, man, would he love to be a reliever?
I mean, David Wright was like best friends with one of the bullpen catchers, I'm pretty sure, throughout his entire career, and he didn't even go into that bullpen.
He was also best friends with Michael Kadire. That's how he ended up here. That was a great move.
Yeah, I think that was a good one. I don't know. Yeah. They had leadership.
Good thing we didn't have the show back then, because boy, let me tell you.
Have John Mayberry Jr. batting cleanup. You're just going to be screaming at the top of the
join me in the retirement home. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Anyways, there is one bat.
Than me.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
there is one bat. There is one bat I do want to talk about, obviously, a little bit more into depth, because recently he's actually has turned it on after a brutal start to the season. But beforehand, speaking of injuries, roster construction, all that stuff, Frank, I'm going to go to you for the injury report, which basically was just spewed out to us like an hour before the show. So if you see any typos, it's whatever. But let's get into the injury report, Frank. Yeah, go ahead. Frank, it's all yours.
All right, so let's start off with the first guy we were just talking about playing shorthanded. Reed Garrett, Mets reliever, has been placed on the 15-day injury list due to right elbow inflammation. The 32-year-old right-hander last pitched on Friday in Atlanta and was unavailable for the remainder of the series. There are no further updates on a potential return for Garrett before the end of the 2025 season. Tylor Megill, Mets starting pitcher, will make his 4th rehab start for AAA Syracuse on Thursday night. Mendoza stated that they hope to get him stretched out to 80 pitches this week before making a decision that regards the one minor league option that he has remaining. McGill has been on the injured list since mid-June due to a right elbow sprain. Francisco Alvarez, Mets catcher, took batting practice earlier today at Citi Field as he attempts to play through his injury that occurred last week, which will eventually require surgery. He is expected to be reevaluated soon, as he was placed on the injured list last week due to a UCL sprain in his right thumb that he suffered sliding headfirst into the second base bag in the Little League Classic out in Williamsport. Jose Siri, Mets outfielder, will begin a minor league rehab assignment for Low A Port St. Lucie tomorrow night. Siri has been sidelined since the middle of April due to a fractured left tibia bone that he suffered after fouling a ball off his shin. So, it's a lot.
I already noticed a typo I have on the graphic, but I didn't have a typo in the thing. I had something that I had to copy over, which I didn't end up copying over, even though I'm pretty sure I tried that like multiple times. But hey, whatever, shit happens.
We got through it.
Yeah, we did get through it. Siri, we'll see where that fits in. I don't know. I have no clue. Is
another outfielder that can't hit? Sign me up, because I mean that will address something we don't already have.
Well, at least it's not another infielder.
That's true. What happened now?
Anyways, that's a football thing. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, they have I think it's more of a situation of like, how are they going to form some of these pieces with the bullpen? I don't know if Tylor Megill is looked at as a relief option at all, because they're having him stretched out as a starter, and we've already seen plenty of situations where they make a starter a reliever to starter, and they've had those types of growing pains with that type of thing. We even saw Brandon Sproat actually be scratched from his start on Sunday and then he made his first relief appearance. It did not go well. So again, that's the type of workload that you can't reset pitchers from, which I think is just completely stupid. But Tyler McGill, it looks like he is probably going to be more factored into when they have the no days off. He's going to be kind of like that sixth starter. And then I also think that afterwards, then that is where Brandon Sproat is considered, because obviously if they bring up Brandon Sproat, they obviously want him to stay up here. It's very obvious they do. Same thing goes for Nolan McLean, obviously. Same thing goes for Jonah Tong, who has been talked about as possibly getting called up, but I still don't think that's going to happen this year. But then there's also a factor of Tyler McGill. He also has one minor league option left. So they could do that. I know,
but it's like, if we're talking about, I mean, think about what you're saying here. If we're talking about Nolan, Sproat, and Tong, and then we're talking about McGill, it's like, come on. I mean, who do you think we want to call
he's
up
better
between them? Oh, I mean,
he is better. So
it's not his brother.
Trevor.
I'm
thinking of Trevor.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you got the wrong McGill there. Because you know what, like Tong, a couple starts in only, he's dominating in AAA. So it's like how much? It's like how much do you need to see to be like, come on?
I'm gonna pump the brakes on Tong. Sproat, I want them to get up here. I know he is dominating. However, it's very, very rare, especially for a pitcher to be pitching in 4 different levels in one season. I'm just saying.
Quick through. Nolan also moved very fast.
Nolan did move quick through, but he also came out of college. Jonah Tong came out of high school. So like again, there's different pieces of context with these two guys. I'm really excited for Jonah Tong.
We've talked about not wasting bullets.
Yeah.
We have talked about that.
That's another thing that we've talked about with Brandon Sproat. That's why I want to see him up here too.
Yeah.
Tong, I'm okay if they don't bring him up here this year, because again, I'm just saying, don't completely rush it, because again, I don't like thinking of prospects as an instant solution, as an instant option.
Well, I think with what we have right now, it's a solution, because what we have, I mean, we're talking about,
we have McGill. We have McGill.
We're talking about McGill. We're talking about Jose Castillo. I mean, these are things that we're talking about. I mean,
well, yeah, I know what you're saying. I think again, there is an option where they could go somewhere else with Brandon Sproat, maybe making one of those spot starts in that realm, and optioning McGill down to AAA after activating him, which he has one option left. Like I was saying, like they have decisions they can make. It's not like, oh, with Paul Blackburn, he's out of options, so we got to bring him up here because he's so important and he's got facial hair. Like there's no reason that they don't have a choice to make in the matter. So that's the main reason as to why with McGill, there's not really much panic with this whole situation of like, oh no, he's going to be back, because Tyler McGill is Tyler McGill. However, we'll see if they do make a decision in that. Now, ACJ did say that in the chat, according to reports, Tong leapfrog Sproat. And I think it's very easy to say that he's outperformed Sproat this year. Sproat has had some success recently, but Tong has had a ridiculous year. I think that he should be considered as ranked higher than him. I do think that given on experience, Sproat probably would be the first guy to be called up. But that's probably what they meant by a report yesterday or 2 days ago when they were like, okay, Tong is in the consideration. He's been talked about as a possible playoff piece, or a possible September piece. We'll see. We will see. Bubble Chandler is up. Come on, Carson, get him up here. And the Pirates always make the best decisions. As we all know, the Pirates ran like a well-oiled machine. Anyways, we'll see what happens with those certain transactions. Good news on Francisco Alvarez, obviously seeing him being able to grip the bat so freshly off of that injury that he had. What was it? Less than a week ago. And then also Reed Garrett, like we said already, Tyler McGill with that whole situation. Then, but Francisco Alvarez, I'm hoping this isn't a hero ball thing. I'm hoping that he contributes if he were to come back, but I'm not counting on it as a factor yet. I really am not, because we've seen twice already this affect him. Like I've already said my piece on that last episode. It's one of those situations. Anyway, I do want to get into a certain guy who's been swinging a really good bat and can grip the bat pretty well recently. That being Mark Vientos, who has had a really, really good stretch. Now, one of the biggest moments for him this year was on July 11th, where he had that big hit in Kansas City, clearing the bases with a 3-run double, coming up big for the team. They were behind after, I'm pretty sure, like the bullpen in a tight game didn't come through. What else is new? But anyways, ever since then, he's really starting to seem to come into his own. We're starting to see the hitting tools on a little bit more display of what we saw last year. Now, since July 11th, now this is a reference for anybody from the 90s, obviously, refreshed and full of life, Vientos, fresh and full of life, Mentos. Anyways, since July 11th, batting .296, .311 on base percentage, a .541 slugging percentage. He has 6 home runs, which he had beforehand, but that's in an even larger sample in 242 plate appearances. He has a 134 weighted runs created plus since July 11th. Seems like he is lifting the ball a lot more. He's hitting the ball hard. It seems like he's squaring it up a lot better, and he's also finding the barrel a lot better. But one piece of context that I think is the most important is the bat speed, which noticeably dipped to start off the season, where it went down to 70.8 miles an hour. Since that 7-11 Slurpee day, 71.6% mile per hour average bat speed, which doesn't seem like a big difference, obviously, but in this game where it's a game of inches, obviously, that is definitely a big jump compared to last year, where it was 71.8 miles per hour, 71.6. It seems like he's getting back to that certain swing, that certain approach. He's starting to get back into that profile of what made him such a prolific offensive threat last year. So it's been promising, obviously. 81 batted ball events, so it's not a huge sample, but it's definitely a decent amount of sample to say, okay, there's definitely been a change here. He has been contributing. But we have said this multiple times. I think we just mentioned it earlier in the show here. Frank and I, again, we've said it so many times. So many times. If Mark Vientos isn't hitting, he's the worst player on the team. We know damn well, because he ain't going to give you any defense. He for sure is not going to give you anything on the base paths. So again, if he hits, he's a contributor. That's what he has been doing since that July 11th stretch, and he just looks a lot more comfortable at the plate as compared to the 3 pitch ABs that we were seeing where he just looked completely overmatched. Nobody was giving him a fastball whatsoever, because why would you? He seems a lot more patient, more comfortable, making a lot better contact with the baseball.
For sure. And one of the interesting things, too, is that his walk rate is down quite a bit since he's gotten better. So there probably has been a little bit of a change of approach. He's using the opposite field a lot more, using it for power. I mean, in San Diego, right in the heat of the trade rumors, he hit the home run to right field, but also he had hit the fly out to right field that Tatis robbed the home run. And then in this Atlanta series, we saw him use right field again for a home run. So he's been able to kind of hit the ball all over, which is what we know he's capable of. He's one of those guys who talk about like foul pole to foul pole kind of power. He could pull it, hit a mile, but also he has power to go to the opposite field as well. So it's nice to see him kind of utilize a lot of his different hitting tools that he has. But just overall, I mean, we know the kind of difference he can make, because he got sent down at one point because he almost got sent down because of the whole minor league option. They're about to DFA him because in June, I mean, in 5 games, he hit 111. So it was getting really, really bad at one point. So to see him look a lot more like himself, it's big for this team. It's right where we need him because, you know, he was huge in the playoffs, and we all know that. So you want guys who, when the moment is the biggest, that they can actually perform. And you just feel like is one of the biggest differences between last year's team and this year's team was, before Soto got here, he was batting second. And when you talk about batting second, Pete was struggling. Like, he was the best second best hitter. And to have him be like one of the worst years that he couldn't even play the guy in the span of less than a year was pretty crazy. So he's a young player. I wasn't ready to give up on him just yet. So it's just very nice to see him look a lot more like himself. And they need him to keep it going. If they're really going to have a chance, like we said, it would be nice to have that other bat to step up. You want to find like that. Could we talk about like the top four, top heavy? Like you want to just find those other bats that can extend the lineup. Vientos, we know he's capable of. He continues that. We're looking really good. Alvarez comes back, do what he was doing before he got hurt. Like, you have a lineup. And that's the thing that's been so frustrating too, is that there is so much talent that you could have a very good lineup. It's just the consistency has always been the issue. And like we talked about, consistent playing time has been an issue because you have so many guys who play third base. You have so many guys who are best suited as DH, and Vientos is the epitome of both of those. He's DH'd a bunch. Today he's at third. So it's like trying to just find a spot so that he can continue this kind of performance is the other challenge that they are running into. So it is interesting. Like we said, Beatty's on the bench tonight. So no, I think, what was it? Beatty's? No, yeah, Beatty's on the bench tonight. Yeah, Marusha's on the bench tonight. So it's just, there's a lot of moving parts. So he needs to keep this going as well if he wants to keep his spot on the team too.
Yeah. I mean, we knew that the factors going in with Brett Beatty this year, where his glove was keeping him in the lineup, even if he was not really hitting that much. You can't really say that about Mark Vientos. Vientos has got to hit. That's it. That's all he really can do for you, because no matter how hard you try, or no matter how hard you try to plug the bat in, he's not a good third baseman. I don't think he ever will be. It never will be a factor in, and that is with Francisco Lindor to his left. It's just the fact of the ground that he cannot cover whatsoever. The plays that he just can't make. He's not sure-handed whatsoever. He's a bat. And that's the thing that makes him such a low floor player, is the fact that if he's not hitting, he's the worst player on the team. If he is hitting, he's one of the highest contributors on this team, is what we saw last year. And for so far, recently, we have actually seen a Mark Vientos contributing to a lineup outside of a top four that has been very inconsistent all year. And we saw what he was able to do offensively, even in this series in Atlanta, how much wonders that obviously did for them. He had 3 home runs and 3 consecutive ABs, and they all were score deciding, obviously. And they all gave you a little bit more of an impact. If you get that type of power from Mark Vientos, nice to see him pulling the ball a little bit more, especially in this series. It would be great. However, according to an anonymous source from a certain hitting coach, what he's been doing has been very bad, and he should be punished for it. And if he does it again in this game, you're not going to see him for another week. So again, it's been great to see what Mark Vientos has been doing. But again, when it comes to him, when he's not hitting, it's a miserable experience. Let's just say that. And that's when you have to start to make a little bit of some decisions, obviously. However, we'll see how they do that, obviously, with the third base formula, but they're going to have to decide on something. But for now, it's good to have his bat in the lineup because it makes the lineup better. He made the lineup better last year, so hopefully he can continue to do that. He is starting once again today. He is batting fifth. Okay, fifth. He was in the
right behind
spot.
Alonso. So
right behind Alonso. Okay.
Yes, you have Lindor, Soto, Marte, Alonso, Vientos. And listen, I mean, Marte, he's now up to 289 on the old batting average.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's see.
God, I wish he still stole bases like he used to. Would have been sick.
Especially with this first base coach, he would have. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He would have.
It would have been.
These rules,
like if he was
like
see if he had like 40 stolen bases right now this season. Let's say that. Yeah. So if he had 40 stolen bases this season like he usually did like in the prime of his career, I would be like, okay, bat him second. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do it again. But like, he's just not
plug.
that player anymore. He isn't.
No.
He really isn't. But, yeah, Unk still got it. I'm pretty sure the Mets social media team put out when he threw someone out at the plate. That's the frustrating part about the age of Marte. And I think that a lot of things that get very, very misconstrued on here, everyone thinks that I don't like Starling Marte. I love Starling Marte. He was one of my favorite players going into the league when he came in 2012, one of my favorite players in the league. I love it, but he's just limited now. So he's just not what he was at one point, and for the return on value. But again, another guy you could put in that stud category, by the way, going back to that, Starling Marte has been really, really good, and he also had a really good series as well. A lot better than all of these other guys that are so-called the top 4 hitters, or the top hitters, the top getters in this lineup. Obviously, Lindor is starting to come around. Soto's drawing a lot of walks. Yeah, Alonso, not great series from him either way. He leads active players in steals. Unfortunately, those steals aren't coming these days, but I think he stole 2 in this series, didn't he? He showed some wheels, right? I don't know. He's like 6 on the season. That's just depressing. It really is. If you, like, this is the thing. If you grew up watching Starling Marte like I did, you knew that this guy was a threat for 40 stolen bases every single year. To see him with 7 at the end of August is just heartbreaking. Like, let's be real. Like, very, very hard, especially in a time where the bases are bigger, the disengagements and everything would have been fantastic. Really would have, but he's just not that player anymore. He really isn't. We know he isn't. That's just how it's kind of just been. But listen, it's good to see him hitting, at least contributing. I think that he's definitely taken on that part-time player role fairly well. I don't have many complaints on Starling Marte. It's more of just the contract around him. So I love Starling Marte. We know that a lot of people in that clubhouse like him. So we'll see. We will see how they configure that. And I'm hoping that we get, some kind of miracle run from somebody in the postseason. And we know that Marte can turn it on when he needs to. Yeah. But we'll see. April, we're saying Marte is a Cano clone, no good without PEDs. This isn't true. Now, he revitalized his career after those PEDs. Cano, more of just age. Cano, it was very obvious when he came back. What was it, 2022? It was very obvious he needed those steroids to hit the ball. Marte is still a solid player. He's not, what you paid for, but again, it would be great to see him start swiping bags, but I don't think that's going to start happening just magically. But 7 stolen bases this year. That's a rough stat to see next to Starling Marte's name. Let's just say it. It's rough because if you grew up watching him, you knew that was one thing that he was just going to be writing in every single year, to be swiping 30 to 40 bags every single year. And that's what made him such a dynamic player. So sucks, but whatever. As we move on, Mets versus Phillies, a matchup that seems a lot more important to the Mets than the Phillies as of right now. The Mets are behind the Phillies right now by 7 games. If they were to lose, I don't know any of these games, to be honest, in this series. I think the division you can pretty much.
It already is.
It already is. They're already on the outside looking in.
We don't even see it. The page.
If they were to sweep this series, it would be 4, right? And then they also have 3 other games in Philly with them for the rest of the season. So again. But if they were to get swept, lose 2 out of 3, that's when I think you can put a wraps on the division. You're still looking on the outside looking in. However, you have some matchups that maybe are favorable, I'd say, pitching-wise, but the Mets, they like to decide whenever they want to show up. So, either way, in this series coming up, which first pitch is actually in an hour from now, today, we have in Game 1 tonight, the struggling Kodai Senga will start the series opener Hopefully he can grab his footing. He'll face one of the best southpaw starters in the game, Christopher Sanchez. First pitch is tonight, like I said, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time on SNY. Game 2, Sean Manaea will get the start, searching for some volume. Hopefully, with no collapses in the middle innings. That would be awesome. He'll face the 27-year-old left-hander Jesus Luzardo. First pitch is tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m., just like Game 1, Eastern Time on SNY. And in Game 3, we've got the Mets pitching prospect Nolan McLean making his third MLB start following a brilliant 7-inning performance in Atlanta. He'll face the former Met, Taijuan Walker. First pitch is Wednesday at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time on SNY. So 3 SNY games, Gary, Keith, and Ron all in the booth for possibly the Mets divisional funeral. Who knows? However, no Zach Wheeler is one thing. Also, I know that everybody is upset of him going to the Phillies, but rough break for Zach Wheeler, by the way. That is a shame. That really is a shame.
That really sucks.
Yeah, that really does suck. It looks like he's getting the thoracic outlet surgery.
But it looks like it's a different one than Harvey and more like Merrill Kelly.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But he's getting up there. He actually made it public. I'm pretty sure that he said he was going to retire after 2027 or something.
Yes, he did say that.
Yeah,
that's right.
He did say that. So we'll see what happens there. But what a shame, really what a shame. I'm not gonna lie, because he is one of the best pitchers in this game. Regardless of how you feel about him, the Mets probably should have made the decision to bring him back.
I
don't blame him. I don't blame him.
He
got what he wanted to get.
Yeah. And you know what? The Phillies gave a better offer, so you got to take it. Like the Mets were not going to pay him under that regime, at least. And even the comments made by Brody, we made this for him the second half. It was just unprofessional all the way around. So I got nothing against him.
Yeah, if he didn't start his career so later on in his career, if he didn't start it, he probably nearly first ballot.
Well, he also had the injuries too. He was supposed to
he got beat up. He had to beat up, but he came up on. He came up, what was it, age 24, age 23? He was older than Syndergaard and Matz, and I think he's the same. Is he the same age or 1 year younger than Jake? I don't know. 1 year younger than Jake, probably.
He's 35,
1 or 2 years younger than Jake. So again, he was expected to be really, really good. Got injured. Lots of different things happened, obviously, with Wheeler, but obviously going over to Philly, he blossomed into one of the best pitchers in the game, and also someone who the Mets probably could have helped the Mets through a lot of these recent years with their troubles with volume. Let's just say that. But
he's like the volume king now.
If that is the end, congrats to a great career. We'll see if it is, but with the timeline, but. Prayers for him, obviously. Speedy recovery for Zach Wheeler, who was once a Met. Again, like we said, no animosity. It's more on the Mets' part as of why he's not in a Mets uniform. Anyways, going into this series, we all know the Phillies are in first place. They're ahead of us. We're chasing them at this current moment. They haven't been fantastic all year. But recently they have started to turn it on. They've had obviously injuries in that rotation. The Mets aren't going to see they're going to see one of their good pitchers, and then they're going to see Luzardo, who's been up and down this year. And then they're also going to see the Whopper Man. So, we'll see. Mixed bag here, but I think looking at it right now, I think they're good for one win in this series. I don't know who it's going to end up being, but I don't have much confidence. Let's just say that. I don't. But again, MVP type of season for Kyle Schwarber, who is one of the most feared hitters in all of baseball as of right now. Schwarber has not been... Yeah, certified Met killer. He hasn't really been fantastic against the Mets recently, but we know that how hot he is. We know. I'm pretty sure he has a few homers against Senga, too. And let's just say he's definitely not someone I have my eye on for this offseason. But anyways, Bryce Harper, we know, always a threat. But is did he get banged up again? I don't know.
He played yesterday, so I mean, he should.
He played yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, first base. Sure. He should be good to go by all accounts.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Nick Castellanos has really, really struggled recently. He has not been good, and obviously, in that situation, I guess similar to Mark Vientos, where if he's not hitting, he's not giving you anything. Let's see. We also have Trey Turner, who has definitely turned it on recently. He's had a really, really good second half, even though he started off really, really good. He is batting 300 again. But he's 32 stolen bases. We know he can always be a threat as well. We've seen him. Let's see, Alec Boehm not having the best season, but he's been there, I guess. And then obviously their bench, they have definitely a lack of depth there. They've had Harrison Bader. He's been okay since being traded there. And then obviously that bullpen, which has been very up and down as well. They've had some
they just got Alvarado back over the weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. They have a few lefties though. I mean, between Banks, Strom, Alvarado. So, that's something you've got to consider as a manager. If you have a lot of guys you want to hide from lefties, not really the team you want to face because they have two lefties starting in this series, and the other lefty who pitched amazing yesterday, Suarez, you're not going to see him in this series. So I think for the Mets, it's just like, we talk so much about, okay, well, if you make it to playoffs, one thing, but it's like, well, what are you going to do when you get there? You played the Phillies last year. You did really well against them, and Senga wasn't that much of a factor. So let's see how he does tonight. For Manaea, he was big for us. Can you get it going again, please? And Nolan, I mean, he's done good so far. He needs to keep doing what he's doing. I mean, when you're facing the Phillies, as much as you want to talk about the lineup, it really comes down to that rotation. We know the rotation is super, super solid. Even without Wheeler, they still have plenty of good arms. So your arms need to match them because it's going to be a tough time for your offense. You're not expecting to be carried by your offense. You're facing the Phillies. You need the starting pitchers to come up, and then you have to get the hitting late against some of the relievers. It's not going to be Yohan Duran, but some of the other relievers, they are hittable. So that's where they have to do their damage. Very similar to how they did it last year. They won those games late because they were close early. You see like a home run here and there. They trade back and forth, and then later on is where they take off. So as we know, that's the key to the Phillies. Their aggressive lineup, we've talked about that. A good matchup, try to get them to chase some stuff, maybe. But overall, there's a lot of talent there still. So they're first place for a reason. Like you said, they've been playing a little better lately. So it's not a gimme. Like you said, should they win one game? I hope so. If you could win more, great. But, just overall, I'm really looking at those first two pitchers as like, what? Senga, like we kind of wanted you to be the ace this year. Manaea was our ace last year. Both of you guys have not pitched anywhere close to ace level lately. So we need you to get it going. Nolan's been great. So I'm not going to, if Nolan plays bad, I'm not going to go crazy like, oh, what happened here? Like, it's all right. But the first two guys, I'm really watching them as like, I need you two to show up.
Yeah, I need both. You need both of them to go 6 innings in order to win this series. I feel like you do. You need in order to win this series, you need Senga or Manaea to go 6 innings in order for that to happen, and it hasn't been the case for them. So someone's going to have to dial it in. They're going to have to dial it in. I mean, and somehow beware of the up downs, because for some reason there's something magical in the 4th inning where they just all of a sudden completely collapse. If this would be a good time for Senga to step up as a frontline piece that we expected him to be, this would be a perfect time. Obviously, like I said. We'll see what happens in this series, but again, this is a good Phillies team, like we said. You said they just got Alvarado back. He's not postseason eligible. Yohan Duran, these last few outings, he's actually struggled a little bit, but we all know how dominant he can be. And then David Robertson is actually back with the Phillies, who has been
40 years old.
All right. He's been okay. Yeah, he's been okay. They haven't really used him as much. But we'll see. Kirkring in that bullpen, he's having a good season. The Mets have had a decent history against him as well. Tanner Banks has had a good season. Is Jordan Romano still there?
Is he
still?
Yeah, had a rough year, but he's still in the majors. Yeah,
he's still there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he sucks. But we'll see. We'll see how they do fare with these matchups. Like you said, guys like Tyrone Taylor batting in front of McNeil. How are they going to, mix and match things like that? We'll see. But we all know that, the bottom of this Phillies lineup, something that the Mets have done fairly well against the Phillies exclusively, has been taking advantage of the bottom part of that lineup and being able to take care of them very, very quickly. But that's something that the Mets have not been doing pitching-wise recently, and that is walking a lot of 9-hole hitters, the bottom part of the lineup pitching very scared, running a lot of full counts, and wasting energy on hitters that you don't need to waste much energy, and then when it gets to the top of the lineup, they burn you. So, again, we'll see how that goes. I think that the Mets obviously can match up well with this Phillies team. They do. On paper right now, and the trajectory of where these two teams are going, it probably doesn't look like that. But the Mets have had the Phillies number. At least they have chested up to them. They beat them in the playoffs. They swept them earlier this year. So again, we'll see if they can find a way. They could get a series win here, but will they? We'll see. You got to execute. Like we have said, you got to execute. They have the pieces here. They have the talent here. They have to execute. But either way, good luck, I guess, because your division hopes are on the line right now. Even though technically they're on the outside looking in 7 games behind them, the best way to gain on them is to beat them. So that would be very nice to see them do it, because, even though no team has ever blown a division with a 7-game lead, it could be possible. Who knows? I don't know. I'm hoping that things come together here and Citi Field is rocking. Don't have them sweep you on your own home field. How about that? That's the goal. That is the goal for me. Don't let them sweep you on your home field. But other than that, we'll see what they're able to do. Hour from now, Mets versus Phillies at Citi Field. Frank, if there's anything else that you want to add, any other notes going into, this thing we're calling baseball, apparently.
Yeah, it's still the stretch of the 16 games, 16 days. So it's like you have Jose Castillo now. So, how are they going to manage the bullpen too? Like, not overworking, not going a million days in a row. So that's still something that they're going to be battling. And like you said, it's another reason why these pitchers, Sangam and Nye, they got to give them some length there, because with the very particular part of the schedule they are in, they need to get as many innings as they can, because they're going to be using their bullpen a whole lot with no days off. So it's just like volume is the key.
Yeah, we'll see what they're able to do. Like I said, they're going to have to get through it. Someone's going to have to get through 6 innings. I don't know who it's going to have to be. If it ends up having to be Nolan McLean, that's kind of sad. But Senga, Manaya, we're looking for you guys to step up. And I think we're going to end it off here. And obviously, Mets versus Phillies, like we said, at 7:10 p.m. for Game 1 and a 3-game series at Citi Field. So we're going to end it off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel and turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually. The links are in the description. And finally, let's go Mets. Please just show some sort of life. I don't know. Do you. Go ahead and do you. We'll see you guys next time.